right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Highs again toward the end of December, mid-50s, low 60s. How long this lasts, if we'll stay this warm through Christmas, and when we expect cold air to settle finally back in.
Showing the Christmas spirit, not just on the big screen.
I just know as a parent how hard Christmas can be, and we just hope to be able to do more and more and give back even bigger next year.
How a St. Charles movie theater is giving back this holiday season. But first, more fallout from what some are calling a divisive decision from the Francis Howell School Board.
Students need to see themselves. They need to see people who are different than themselves in their classrooms. They need to learn about what the real world is like now, what it's been like in the past. How did we get to where we are today?
A deeper look at school leaders' decision to remove Black History electives for students. And we'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first we begin with breaking news just into our newsroom. Just minutes ago, 5 on Your Side confirmed a man missing out of St. Louis County is now in police custody in Wisconsin. 31-year-old Trenton Ivy was reported missing on December 20th. He was last seen with 29-year-old Marquisha Williams in North St. Louis. And now we've learned he's no longer missing. He's in custody. We've reached out to the Racine County Sheriff's Office, that's in Wisconsin, to find out if Williams was with Ivy when he was arrested. Ivy is being charged with, the suspect is being charged with use of a dangerous weapon, resisting an officer, and fleeing from an officer. This story is just breaking. We will keep you updated as we get more details. Tonight, a divide over the Francis Howell School Board's decision to strip Black History electives from the curriculum. While some call it a win for the district, others say it's divisive. 5 on Your Side's Travis Cummings is getting new reaction, including from a St. Charles councilman.
To not allow students to see themselves in their classrooms, to not have their history, their work, their past, their families, their people represented in their classrooms. That's what this is about.
It's a fallout over the future.
Let them learn!
Emotions run high after the Francis Howell School Board decided to drop 2 Black-related electives from its curriculum at 3 of its high schools.
These courses were put in place to teach students about Black history, Black literature, that prepares them to be better workers in the workforce, to be better, more empathetic, compassionate humans.
Walker, a former student, says she didn't feel that unity on campus.
I experienced a lot of racist incidents when I was at Francis Howell North, so I chose to go to St. Charles Community College instead.
St. Charles County Councilman Mike Elam says the move could be a better way to see success in schools.
It's probably better pursued at a college level than it is at a high school level, because today in public education, we really need to focus on core development.
Statements from board members indicate it's not the history they want to get rid of, but the place where it's coming from, which is the social justice standards developed by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The board cites it teaches through a more, quote, social justice framework. Dr. Willie Francois weighed in on that notion.
Despite our racial identifications, despite our class backgrounds, to learn Black history is to learn a fuller story of the American project, and it invites us into being a part of making this a more perfect union. If that's turning people into activists, I guess I'm okay with that.
That perfect union, many agree everyone's experiences should exist in.
Because the real world is diverse.
Travis Cummings, 5 on Your Side.
We've reached out to the Southern Poverty Law Center to get their response to the board's concerns about their work. We're waiting to hear back. University City Police investigating a deadly shooting at a Circle K. Police showed up to Hanley and Olive just after 2 this afternoon. Witnesses say they heard gunshots and then saw a white Buick sedan drive away, heading west on Olive. The victim died at the hospital. Anyone with information should call 866-371-TIPS. A founding member of the country band Dixie Chicks has died. The Texas Department of Public Safety says Laura Lynch was killed in a car crash. Authorities say she was involved in a head-on collision on US 62 just west of the town of Cornudas in Texas. Current members of the band say they're shocked and saddened. Laura Lynch was 65 years old. Israeli attacks have killed more than 200 people over the last 24 hours in Gaza. According to the Ministry of Health there, more than 20,000 people have been killed in the region since October. And this follows the United Nations approval of a resolution to give more humanitarian aid to Gaza. The resolution called for a pause in the fighting, but not a full ceasefire. It passed with 13 votes in favor and 2 abstaining. One of those abstaining votes came from the United States. For the latest on the war and those impacted by it, text the word Israel to 314-425-5355. Let's go ahead and see if we can get a look at your weather first forecast. Meteorologist Gary Frank, hard at work tracking the latest. Hey there, Gary.
Hey, good evening, Brent. Pretty nice evening. Once again, it's still warm, and even at this hour, it's some 10 to 12 degrees warmer than we should be for our daytime highs. That's how significantly warm it is. And, you know, here at 10:05, you look, and Edwardsville doesn't have much fog or anything like that. But overall, there are some spots that the visibility has dropped as we look at those specific numbers. A quarter of a mile in Litchfield, half a mile in Flora, a quarter of a mile in Perryville. And there are some other spots that are limited. This is more on the Metro East side, and this is where the dense fog advisory is. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe that extended, but just keep in mind, I think there are going to be some spots overall on the Metro East side that deal with some fog right now. Temps in the mid-50s, like I said, 54, that's 12 degrees above where we should be. And this is the system we're tracking. It's off to our southwest. This is where we're starting to see that air in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. That's going to be responsible for rain, but it's a while away, and I still don't think we're going to see rain overnight or through most of the day tomorrow. And that's what we'll highlight as we time out that system, how it impacts on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and when we'll finally see some cooler air settle in.
All right, we're looking forward to that, Gary. Well, we first told you about the St. Andrews Cinema reopening in St. Charles after it was severely damaged in a fire. Now, weeks later, the locally owned movie theater is taking the season of giving to heart, leading a coat drive for the community. Annie Krall shows us the meaning of Christmas both on and off the big screen.
You know, we used to have people in here sleeping at night, and we would come in to work on the place, and they'd be in here. So hopefully we can make an impact in their life and give them something warm, give them something to eat, make a friend out of them, make them feel welcome, you know, and maybe change their life.
With Christmas just around the corner, St. Andrews Cinema in St. Charles has already donated toys to 15 different families. Plus,
for people who might not be able to keep themselves warm around a fire this year, St. Andrews Cinema has a solution. Right here on this stage, there's going to be a local comedy show to have laughs and also raise awareness about the community and those who might need the most help.
We're doing a clean family comedy show for Christmas with a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful part to it. It's also a winter clothing drive. There are way too many people right in our own neighborhood who don't have a hat or a scarf, but just some gloves.
Saturday's comedy show offered $5 off the $25 ticket for bringing in a donation, already giving away about 50 coats.
For the homeless community out there, we know how cold it gets here in Missouri in the winter, so there's a lot of places down in the city, but to be able to have like a centralized location to help in St. Charles County, yeah, super important.
After it caught fire in 2019, this theater was abandoned, with homeless folks living inside.
The new owners have come in and said, we want to be altruistic, we want to give back, we're going to be community orientated. They have not even made $1 yet, and they've already given away tons of stuff in this whole week. That's the heart, that's the spirit.
Whether it's watching Frozen 2 or other holiday movies this week and next, they've had success with $1 movies on Wednesdays. Coming soon, $2 Taco Tuesdays, starting January 2nd. Reporting in St. Charles, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
And if you're interested in donating coats for that drive, they will go to the homeless. The movie theater is closed tomorrow and on Christmas, but you can drop off coats inside every day when they're open until the end of the year. Keeping a tradition alive.
I feel like I'm still youth. I'm still growing up in my youth still.
How one man is staying in tune with an old school cinema tradition.
This system is slow moving until it finally got on shore, but it's going to be responsible for our rain on Christmas. The rainiest portions of your Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and when we see cold air finally settling back in.
Well, just days before Christmas, several gift giveaways kicked off all across the St. Louis area. Here's a look at one that wrapped up earlier this afternoon at the 100 Black Men headquarters on Del Mar. The organization donated more than 1,200 toys today. Kids could come in and pick out multiple items to take home for Christmas. There was also a raffle to win some big-ticket items, including bicycles. The Youth and Family Center also hosted its annual holiday giveaway today. They've partnered with the Urban League and other local groups to make it happen. Their goal was to serve up to 200 families today, and each family also received a box full of items to make holiday meals. Kids there also able to choose their own Christmas gifts.
We got cloud cover and rain off to our west, and that's what we're monitoring as that rain approaches, how wet it is as we head into the next 36 hours.
Well, when you think of great movies, you often think of the music. For instance, the theme to Star Wars or Jaws or Raiders of the Lost Ark. But once upon a time at the movies, that music was performed live. And in tonight's Making a Difference segment, Mike Bush reports on the local theater and musician keeping that tradition alive.
At the Chase Park Cinemas, Lost Time has been found again. It's the show Between Shows in Theater Number 3, where the Kahn 652 electric organ is in experienced hands. Once upon a time, before movies could talk, almost every theater in the country had its own keyboard accompanist. And here, because the owner wanted to stand out when people came in, they still do.
I'm a small businessman and an independent exhibitor, which there just plain aren't too many of us left.
And there aren't too many left like the man at the keys, 73-year-old Jerry Marion.
Yes.
Marion's love affair with the instrument goes back more than 6 decades. His dad was an organ repairman.
My 7th birthday, he bought me a Hammond organ.
That gift changed his tune forever. He found his calling.
Tell me about your mentor.
Stan Can. He was an inspiration to me.
Well, hello, Charlotte. How are you? Hi, Stan.
Stan Can, seen here on KSDK in the early 1950s, was a national celebrity who played the massive Wurlitzer pipe organ between shows at the palatial Fox Theater.
Stan needed an assistant because back then he was lining up shows from the Mike Douglas Show, and then later on Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, you name it. He went there, and that's how he found me to fill in for him.
He filled in during weekday showings and took gigs all over town until the 1980s, when theater organists became just wistful remembrances.
Welcome to Chase Park Cinema Plaza. How can I help you?
Then in 1999, after years of doing odd jobs,
Hi, welcome to the Chase. How can I help you?
Marion was offered a spot at the new Chase Park Cinemas.
There we go. It's just another thing that a small business can do, and telling your customer thank you for coming is something that's kind of been lost in the shuffle.
Here, in addition to popcorn, candy, and Hollywood's newest releases, you get old standards. Marion also composes his own music for special events, like an upcoming silent film showcase.
The Rudolph Valentino's The Son of the Sheik.
And so you're working on that now.
1926.
You're working on that?
Working on it now, yes.
Though he's at an age where he could trade in the organ bench for a rocking chair, Marion has no plans to retire.
I feel like I'm still youth. I'm still growing up in my youth still.
He loves what he does, and people love him.
Keeping the past a present for moviegoers. Jerry Marion and the Chase Park Cinemas. Making sure every show is a double feature.
I love it. I love it.
If you know someone making a difference for others, let Mike know by emailing mbush@ksdk.com. We've got Gary standing by now with your Weather First forecast.
Yeah, here on Festivus, 2 days away, a busy place, airport in and out over the next couple of days. And, you know, for the most part, it's still, weather-wise, is not going to impact you whatsoever the next couple of days. 54 degrees. We got to 64. Our low so far is 53. I don't think we're going to drop below that here at midnight, but our normal's 43 degrees. So what a big difference. You know, December 23rd over the last few years, 64 2019, 2020, 65 2021. Walked to bragging rights last year. The next day, it was also cold, 8 degrees. So very cold. You know, our average high, 42. Like I mentioned, it is a lot different. We have some clearing that's going on, but there are more clouds working their way back in. Overnight, we're going to drop down to around 50 again. It's cloudy, but it's dry, I think, overall, as we continue to gain a little bit of daylight on the tail end of each day. We'll start out in the mid-50s, and we're going to finish once again in the mid-60s. It's warm. Enjoy this while it lasts, not a record, because this storm will change things for us. Oklahoma, Wichita, that's where we're going to see that steady stream of rain that settles in. It's taken some time to get here. And from north to south, that's where the heaviest rain sets up on the other side of the state, in the state line between Missouri and Kansas. And for us, that's going to take a while to get here. That means Sunday morning, it's quiet, it's dry, it's warm, and we continue to see the breeze out of the south. Rain holds off really after till midnight. So you're not going to see any rain tomorrow other than a sprinkle, but then after midnight, that's when I think it really settles in. So let's get you through what's going on the next few hours, because I think from midnight, 6 a.m. through about 12 p.m. on Christmas Day itself, that's probably the rainiest period for us. And then after that, maybe a few showers hanging around. I think overall, your Christmas Day forecast starts out 54. 59 with a few showers. That rain tapers off by 4 o'clock, but you're still in the mid-50s overall. Heavier rainfall on that thin strip here, like I mentioned in Kansas City, half an inch for us for the most part, I think, or less. So 64 was not a record today. Our record is 74. 63 tomorrow, 59 on Monday, and then the next few days, it's a lot colder. After we see we're working our way back to the 40s. And then it's going to be in the 30s. I think we got a nice burst of cold air that we would expect as we head into January.
All right, thank you much. We've got Frank here in for Corey.
We're excited, too, because the Blues had a comeback for the ages, and a legendary broadcaster returned to St. Louis tonight. Those stories coming up next.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
3 things that can ruin your Christmas: terrible weather, talking politics at the dinner table, and a loss to the Blackhawks just before the break. Blues off to a good start tonight. Pavel Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, and it's 1-0 note. Now, I want you to see the greatest goal I've ever seen. Connor Bedard, the phenom. He could also be the most hyped prospect ever, and this is why. Can you believe this goal? Blues were down 3 goals. Can you believe this? They went nuts. Justin Falk shot. Jake Neighbors' deflection, that made it 5-4. And Jordan Kyrou will tie the game 23 seconds later. And the Blues will win it right here on the Falk goal. Kyrou added an empty netter. A 5-goal third period. Blues win 7-5.
The room was a lot of fun for, 2.5 minutes before you guys came in here. So guys are having fun. Maybe in the weight room it's still going. So it's a good feeling. You know, you don't want to have a sour taste in your mouth for a few days, and you want to be able to enjoy it.
This morning at the Blues skate, look who I found around the locker room. Darren Pang with his grandkids and son-in-law. He now works for the Blackhawks. I always thought no broadcaster connected with St. Louis any better than Darren. I asked Panger if this place feels like home.
I go to Yeah, for sure. I mean, 14 years of being here. At the time that I came, you remember when I came here, and John Davidson and that group with Mike McCarthy basically convinced me to be here. I said, I never played for the Blues. How am I going to work for the Blues when the only team I ever played for was the Blackhawks? And they were like, don't kid yourself. You weren't that good of a player anyway. You'll win them over as a broadcaster. So you think back to 14 years of coming here and diving in and living in certain areas of St. Louis and getting to know restaurants and places and bars and the people of St. Louis. So very lucky. It does feel like home, for sure. My daughter went to Mizzou and married a guy from Kansas City, and they live here.
Some Saturday NFL football. The Steelers hosting the Bengals. Third-team quarterback Mason Rudolph with the slant to George Pickens, who's been criticized all week for a lack of effort. How's that effort on an 86-yard score? Steelers roll 34-11. So because of that stunning 25-win season by Dennis Gates and the Mizzou basketball Tigers last season, we thought it was going to be smooth sailing from here on in. Think again. Even though the 2024 recruiting class is insanely good, this season may not be a day at the park. The bragging rights game was ugly for Mizzou. The Tigers' only lead was right here, the first basket of the game. They were a brutal 1 of 17 shooting from three-point range in the first half. And the Fighting Illini looks like a team that could win the Big Ten. They are old, experienced, and big, not a starter under 6'6". Talk to us, Coach.
Oh, I think it's pretty nice to have 23-year-olds that have been in weight room for 5 years and have been through some things. And like I've said many times with this group, their attention to detail is really, really good.
That team is a non-traditional basketball team, and they've done a great job of playing and filling in the gaps as they've navigated ways to put their size on the court. Terrence Shannon is a potential first-team All-American.
Dan Rolfus and Incarnate Word facing Westminster Visitation Academy. They shoot it. Caitlin James, they win it 86-25, their 106th victory in a row.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Frank. And that's all of our time.